23 cumulative about 597.7 billion shillings is unaccounted for. Yani, you don't know where it went. Somewhere into the atmosphere. I don't know.
Please repeat that number again.
597.7 billion shillings. Okay. In 2016, an audit finding was that Eurobond proceeds that auditors said could not be fully accounted for of 215 billion. The Hustler Fund allocation flagged an unaccounted for in the 2022-2023 audit of 8 billion shillings. Notice we've not even done a million. We're in the billions here. KEMSA COVID-19 procurement losses identified in a special audit of 2.3 billion shillings. It goes on and on and on and on. Now, that's not even the money that we're talking about at the counties. If we look at the Public Account Committee of the Senate and what it's been doing, the questions that have been asked across board, only three counties, three out of 47 so far, have come up with what looks like an almost clean bill of health. But the others, there are some questions about where money goes. There are pending bills for completed projects. There's money that cannot be explained. There are Christmas trees for which Christmas is not every day of the year. That questions are being asked around where did this money go? But we never get an answer, and I guess that's our conversation today. Where does this money actually go?
You can't get an answer simply because the answer would be an admission of proper looting. But let's just look at the language you just use there on the on-data language. That language is not proper. The law requires the on-data to tell us whether the money was lawfully applied and whether it was effectively used, whether we got the value for money. The language you just use there does not answer those two questions. So the on-data, she has done a great job. She needs our appreciation as a country because she's telling us all this looting. So in the future, when we get a good Kenyan government, it's actually possible to follow this money and return it. So I want to say she's good. But she needs to stop using that language.
Okay.
We don't want to hear about an accountant for this. Because the business of the on-data is to tell us whether that money was lawful. If she didn't find evidence of proper use, simply state that the money was not lawfully used. The law was broken. The end of story. Not that there was not supported. This didn't happen. No, that is a language of hiding. The other problem you have is the House. Is Parliament. You see, the stealing from Kenyans isn't deliberate. It's actually government policy that it must rob its people. Because because it's simply colonial. It's extracting.
Yes.
You understand? I've asked you yourself, why is it that you see at least the Senate is on the ball. The Senate is looking for the accounts of last year, for example, this year. Meanwhile, Parliament is looking for accounts of 2017 today. 2017 is the time it itself has given a lot of evidence. People have died, others have moved on, others have retired, holding people to account 10 years after committing a financial crime is in difficulty. Now, do you think Parliament doesn't know that? They know that. And that is why they don't touch this account until later years, because they need to hide the theft. That's why I'm saying it's a policy, is that the government as a whole has agreed that let's just rob these people. Because the Parliament, you see the problem before Parliament moves, then DCI won't move. The ethics also won't move, because there's something in the law called in double jeopardy. So you can't be treated to two trials for the same thing. So they would wait for Parliament recommendation. But Parliament won't wait until after 10 years to look at the accounts of some years.
Well,
okay? So Senate is doing well because it's looking at this account, and what they are telling us is theft, left, right, and center. Because nobody is protecting public assets, public property in this country. The purpose of government is twofold: to protect life and property. The property is not being protected. I don't know about life. I think Monte life, you can say we have some degree of protection.